I knew we were in trouble the moment the Academy auditorium went quiet. Not polite quiet, not respectful quiet, the kind of quiet where 700 future military officers collectively realize that something has gone horribly, catastrophically wrong. That was when Commander Threx cleared his throat. Now, I should explain, Commander Threx does not clear his throat. He does not have a throat. What he has is a cluster of internal air sacs that inflate when he is about to announce something that will ruin your week, your career, or, statistically speaking, your continued existence. "Cadets," he said, all 7 of his eye stalks swiveling independently as if searching for survivors in advance. "Your final Academy evaluation has been approved." That was the first bad sign. The second bad sign was when he paused. The third bad sign was when the human in the back row whispered, very cheerfully, "Oh, hell yeah." I am not what you would call a pessimist. I prefer the term realistic survival strategist. And realistically speaking, there are only 3 reasons the Galactic Union Defense Academy ever pauses dramatically before announcing an evaluation. 1. Someone is about to lose a limb. 2. Someone is about to lose a career. 3. Someone is about to be dropped onto a planet that actively wants them dead. Sometimes, if you're unlucky, it's all 3. My name, I should probably tell you, is Veke, 3rd Cycle Cadet, Galactic Union Defense Academy. Or, I was. Past tense feels appropriate when you're sitting in a reinforced seat wondering if your species' evolutionary decisions were a mistake. The Academy itself is supposed to be the safest place in the Union, orbiting above a calm, breathable, aggressively non-hostile world. It exists to turn promising young cadets into capable defenders of civilization. The halls are polished, the instructors are stern but fair. The cafeteria food is only mildly toxic to half the species present. Which is why what happened next felt like a betrayal on a deeply personal level. Commander Threx tapped his datapad. The holo display behind him flickered to life, revealing a rotating planetary image. Green, blue, clouds drifting lazily across the surface. It looked pleasant. "Your evaluation," he continued, "will take place on Kelmar 3. That was when the auditorium stopped breathing. Someone dropped a datapad. Someone else made a sound I can only describe as preemptive mourning. I personally felt my secondary heart attempt to crawl deeper into my torso for safety. You see, the Galactic Union classifies planets on a threat scale. Class 1, kindergarten playground with extra oxygen. Class 2, mildly inconvenient if you have allergies. Class 3, officially categorized as a death world. Now, that doesn't sound too bad until you learn an important detail. 98% of known sapient species cannot survive unassisted on anything above Class 2. Kelmar 3 was a Class 3. "Survival evaluation," Threx said, calmly, as if that phrase didn't translate directly to natural selection speedrun. "Duration, 72 standard hours." Someone fainted. I think it was me, but I recovered quickly out of professional embarrassment. Kelmar 3, for those unfamiliar, has an atmospheric pressure that makes your internal organs feel like they're being hugged by a gravitational anomaly with poor boundaries. The local fauna considers everything food, including other predators. The storms can pick up boulders and throw them around like a toddler having a tantrum. And the plants, well, let's just say some of them move when you're not looking. Cadets will be divided into teams of 4. Each team will be deployed into a separate drop zone. Objective, survive and reach the extraction point. Survive. He said that like that was a reasonable request. "What equipment will we be provided?" asked a Zenturi cadet, his scales already fading into stress blue. "Standard survival kit, 1 med kit, 1 emergency beacon, 1 water filtration unit, 1 protein synthesizer." He paused. "And your wits." I heard someone whimper. I'm still fairly certain it was me. Team assignments are now available on your datapads. You have 30 minutes to assemble and board your dropships. The holo display blinked off. Dismissed. As the auditorium erupted into controlled chaos, I looked down at my datapad with trembling appendages. Team 7, Squad Leader, Veke. Oh, fantastic. I get to be responsible for everyone's death. I scanned the rest. Kara, Florian, Dome, Krytonian, and then Tyler Grant. Species, human. I read it again, then a third time. Human. Out of all the beings in the galaxy, the Academy had assigned us a human, which meant one thing was now guaranteed. Either we were going to die horribly, or survive in a way that would make absolutely no sense to anyone with a functioning sense of self-preservation. And judging by the grin I spotted across the hangar bay 30 minutes later, this was going to be the long version of that story. I found my team in Hangar Bay C, which, according to Academy design philosophy, was built to feel efficient and calming. This was a lie. Hangar Bay C was loud, metallic, echo-filled, and currently packed with nervous cadets dragging survival gear while trying not to think about the fact that we were about to be thrown onto a planet that statistically killed most visitors. The air smelled like fuel, ozone, and fear. Mostly fear. Kara was the easiest to spot. Florians are amphibious, translucent, and bioluminescent, which makes hiding impossible and emotional distress very visible. Her skin glowed in soft, anxious yellows that pulsed in irregular patterns, like her nervous system was trying to Morse code a distress signal. She was clutching her pack with both hands, eyes wide, breathing just a little too fast. Next to her stood Dome. Dome was a Krytonian, and Krytonians looked like someone carved a person out of a mountain and then forgot to smooth the edges. He stood nearly twice Kara's height, his body layered in thick, rock-like plates that had evolved to survive high gravity, meteor impacts, and whatever else his homeworld thought was reasonable. He was motionless, which for a Krytonian meant he was deeply stressed and pretending he wasn't. And then there was the human. Tyler Grant was leaning against a storage container like this was a bus stop and not the final staging area before potential death. He was eating something out of a small crinkly bag, completely relaxed, one foot propped casually behind him. When he noticed me approaching, he looked up and smiled. Not a polite smile, a friendly one. "Hey," he said, raising a hand in what I recognized as a human greeting gesture. "You must be Veke, squad leader, right?" "Yes," I said, straightening instinctively. "That is correct. We should immediately review mission parameters and develop the survival strategy." "Cool, cool," he replied, crumpling his snack bag and somehow making it vanish into one of his many pockets. "Love a good plan." Man. Humans call each other man regardless of gender, species, or context. I still do not understand why. Up close, Tyler looked smaller than expected. Humans in Academy briefings are always shown wearing heavy armor or standing next to explosions, which gives the impression they are much larger. He was average height by Union standards, dark hair cropped short, dark eyes set forward in that unsettling predator configuration. His Academy jumpsuit had been modified. The sleeves were gone. Gone. Exposing his arms, which were covered in dark, intricate markings embedded directly into his skin. Tattoos. Humans intentionally damage their skin for decoration. I cleared my throat. "We are assigned to Kelmar 3, Class 3 Deathworld. Survival duration 72 hours. "Oh, sweet," Tyler said, grinning. "That's not bad at all." Kara made a small, distressed sound. "That planet has a non-adapted mortality rate exceeding 60%, I said carefully. "Yeah, but we're Academy trained. Plus, Earth is a Class 7. This is basically easy mode." Easy mode. Something inside me cracked. I turned slightly towards Kara and Dome. For context, Earth is classified as a Class 7 death world. Most species cannot survive its water, atmosphere, or microbial ecosystem. Kara stared at Tyler. Your water is poisonous? Only if you're weak, Tyler said cheerfully. Dome finally spoke, his voice low and gravelly. Why would your species evolve on such a planet? Tyler shrugged. Didn't have a choice. Adapt or die. Mostly we adapted. Some of us died. It was a whole thing. This was delivered with the same tone one might use to discuss bad weather. Humans, I said, addressing my team, have existed in the galactic community for approximately 40 cycles. In that time, they have become a continuous source of confusion, mild terror, and several emergency revisions to survival training manuals. Hey, Tyler said, we try our best. I activated my datapad and projected a basic terrain overview. We will be dropped into Zone 7, temperate forest, moderate rainfall, predator presence confirmed. Oh, like big cats? I do not know what cats are. Ambush predators, he clarified. Hide, pounce, try to eat your face. Yes, I said flatly. Except these also launch crystalline spikes from their spines. Metal, Tyler said, nodding approvingly. Kara looked like she was reconsidering every life decision that had led her here. Should we establish a defensive camp immediately and wait for extraction? That is the safest strategy, I admitted. Boring, Tyler said. Dome tilted his head. Alternative. We move, Tyler replied. Head for extraction early, get there fast, then we chill. The extraction point is 80 kilometers away, I said. Cool, I've walked farther. Silence. Absolute, stunned silence. The hangar bay announcement chimed overhead, calling our team to board the dropship. As we turned toward it, I felt the weight of responsibility settle fully onto my shoulders. I was leading a Florian, a Krytonian, and a human into a Deathworld. Statistically, this was a disaster. Emotionally? I had a very bad feeling that this human was about to turn everything I understood about survival completely upside down. And somehow, against all logic, I wasn't sure that was a bad thing. I found my team in Hangar Bay C, which, according to Academy design philosophy, was built to feel efficient and calming. This was a lie. Hangar Bay C was loud, metallic, echo-filled, and currently packed with nervous cadets dragging survival gear while trying not to think about the fact that we were about to be thrown onto a planet that statistically killed most visitors. The air smelled like fuel, ozone, and fear. Mostly fear. Kara was the easiest to spot. Florians are amphibious, translucent, and bioluminescent, which makes hiding impossible and emotional distress very visible. Her skin glowed in soft, anxious yellows that pulsed in irregular patterns, like her nervous system was trying to Morse code a distress signal. She was clutching her pack with both hands, eyes wide, breathing just a little too fast. Next to her stood Dome. Dome was a Krytonian, and Krytonians look like someone carved a person out of a mountain and then forgot to smooth the edges. He stood nearly twice Kara's height, his body layered in thick, rock-like plates that had evolved to survive high gravity, meteor impacts, and whatever else his homeworld thought was reasonable. He was motionless, which for a Krytonian meant he was deeply stressed and pretending he wasn't. And then there was the human. Tyler Grant was leaning against a storage container like this was a bus stop and not the final staging area before potential death. He was eating something out of a small crinkly bag, completely relaxed, one foot propped casually behind him. When he noticed me approaching, he looked up and smiled. Not a polite smile, a friendly one. "Hey," he said, raising a hand in what I recognized as a human greeting gesture. "You must be Veke, squad leader, right?" "Yes," I said, straightening instinctively. "That is correct. We should immediately review mission parameters and develop the survival strategy." "Cool, cool," he replied, crumpling his snack bag and somehow making it vanish into one of his many pockets. "Love a good plan." Man. Humans call each other man regardless of gender, species, or context. I still do not understand why. Up close, Tyler looked smaller than expected. Humans in academy briefings are always shown wearing heavy armor or standing next to explosions, which gives the impression they are much larger. He was average height by Union standards, dark hair cropped short, dark eyes set forward in that unsettling predator configuration. His academy jumpsuit had been modified. The sleeves were gone. Gone. Exposing his arms, which were covered in dark, intricate markings embedded directly into his skin. Tattoos. Humans intentionally damage their skin for decoration. I cleared my throat. We are assigned to Kelmar 3, Class 3 Deathworld. Survival duration 72 hours. Oh, sweet, Tyler said, grinning. That's not bad at all. Kara made a small, distressed sound. That planet has a non-adapted mortality rate exceeding 60%, I said carefully. Yeah, but we're Academy trained. Plus, Earth is a Class 7. This is basically easy mode. Easy mode. Something inside me cracked. I turned slightly towards Kara and Dome. For context, Earth is classified as a Class 7 death world. Most species cannot survive its water, atmosphere, or microbial ecosystem. Kara stared at Tyler. Your water is poisonous? Only if you're weak, Tyler said cheerfully. Dome finally spoke, his voice low and gravelly. Why would your species evolve on such a planet? Tyler shrugged. Didn't have a choice. Adapt or die. Mostly we adapted. Some of us died. It was a whole thing. This was delivered with the same tone one might use to discuss bad weather. Humans, I said, addressing my team, have existed in the galactic community for approximately 40 cycles. In that time, they have become a continuous source of confusion, mild terror, and several emergency revisions to survival training manuals. Hey, Tyler said, we try our best. I activated my datapad and projected a basic terrain overview. We will be dropped into Zone 7, temperate forest, moderate rainfall, predator presence confirmed. Oh, like big cats? I do not know what cats are. Ambush predators, he clarified. Hide, pounce, try to eat your face. Yes, I said flatly. Except these also launch crystalline spikes from their spines. Metal, Tyler said, nodding approvingly. Kara looked like she was reconsidering every life decision that had led her here. Should we establish a defensive camp immediately and wait for extraction? That is the safest strategy, I admitted. Boring, Tyler said. Dome tilted his head. Alternative. We move, Tyler replied. Head for extraction early, get there fast, then we chill. The extraction point is 80 kilometers away, I said. Cool, I've walked farther. Silence. Absolute, stunned silence. The hangar bay announcement chimed overhead, calling our team to board the dropship. As we turned toward it, I felt the weight of responsibility settle fully onto my shoulders. I was leading a Florian, a Krytonian, and a human into a death world. Statistically, this was a disaster. Emotionally? I had a very bad feeling that this human was about to turn everything I understood about survival completely upside down. And somehow, against all logic, I wasn't sure that was a bad thing. The first thing I learned about Kelmar 3 was that silence did not mean safety. Silence meant something was listening. We moved away from the drop site quickly. Too quickly if you asked Kara, who kept glancing over her shoulder like the forest might sprint after us if we didn't leave politely enough. Dome took point at first, his heavy steps crushing undergrowth with methodical certainty. I followed behind him, datapad in hand, tracking our heading northeast. Kara stayed close to the middle. Tyler drifted. Not wandering, scanning. His head moved constantly, eyes tracking things I couldn't see, his posture loose but ready. The casual confidence was unsettling. Most cadets on their first Deathworld walk like they expect the ground itself to betray them. Tyler walked like the ground owed him money. "Maintain noise discipline," I whispered. "Predators here rely on ambush." "Yeah, so do we," Tyler murmured. I chose not to ask what that meant. The forest was dense. Vines snagged at our packs. Thorned growth scraped against my armor. Something that looked like moss tried to attach itself to Dome's leg before he scraped it off with an annoyed grunt. The air felt thick, heavy, like it didn't quite approve of our lungs. We had been moving for maybe an hour when Tyler stopped. Not abruptly, smoothly. 1 second he was walking, the next he was frozen, one hand raised. I nearly walked into him. "Stop," he whispered. We all did. "What is it?" I asked quietly, my heart accelerating. He tilted his head, listening. "Hear that?" I strained my auditory membranes. At first, nothing. Then, clicking. Soft, rhythmic, too precise to be wind. My blood went cold. Kelmar's stalker. I followed Tyler's gaze toward a massive tree ahead. At first I saw only bark and shadow, then my eyes adjusted and the bark shifted. What I thought was part of the trunk was breathing. 6 legs, camouflaged fur, crystalline ridges running along its spine like weaponized jewelry. A predator that weighed nearly 400 kilograms and specialized in ambushing things that didn't notice it until it was too late. "Back away," I whispered, slowly. The stalker's head turned. Multiple eyes locked onto us. The clicking intensified. "Oh, that's bad," muttered Tyler. "What does the clicking mean?" Kara whispered, panic vibrating through her glow. "It means," Tyler said calmly, "we're not alone." Movement rippled through the undergrowth. 1 stalker became 3, then 4, surrounding us with professional efficiency. "Okay," Tyler said, voice suddenly steady in a way that made my insides tighten. "Everybody in, back to back." We moved without arguing. Instinct took over. "Veke, watch overhead. Dome, rear guard. Kara, center. Don't move unless I say so." "They're going to kill us," Kara whimpered. "Not if we mess up their rhythm," Tyler replied. The lead stalker stepped forward. The ground vibrated. "When they charge, aim for the eyes, armor everywhere else." "How do you know that?" I hissed. "Because predators hate losing eyes." Dome shifted beside me. "I can lift heavy." "Perfect," Tyler said. "See that rock by your foot? When I say now, throw it. Doesn't matter if you hit, just disrupt them." "This is insane," I said. "Yeah," Tyler agreed. "Ready?" The lead stalkers tensed. 3. They crouched. 2. The clicking synced. 1. Now! Dome grabbed the rock, something that should not have been throwable, and hurled it. It struck the rear stalker square in the face with a sound like breaking glass and screaming metal. Chaos erupted. The injured stalker collapsed, thrashing. The others turned toward it in confusion. That second was all Tyler needed. He moved. Not rushed, not frantic. Precise. The branch he'd been carrying came down on a stalker's joint with a crack that echoed through the forest. The creature shrieked, stumbling sideways. "Go!" Tyler shouted. "Run!" We ran. Here's something they don't tell you in survival training. Adrenaline does different things to different species. Florians get faster. Cryptians get stronger. My species gets better problem solving. Humans? Humans get everything. Tyler was behind us, actually fighting. I heard impacts, snarls, the hiss of crystalline spikes slicing air. "We have to help him," Kara cried. "He told us to run," I shouted back. "Correct," rumbled Dome. "Human doctrine, delay enemy, preserve team." "He's going to die." "Probably not," Tyler's voice called from behind us,
but we need to move, now." I risked a glance back. He was bleeding. Human blood, dark against his sleeve, but he was still running, 3 stalkers in full pursuit. "Left!" I yelled, spotting a break in the trees. We veered straight into marshland. Water splashed around our legs. The smell hit. Sulfur, decay, rot. "Don't stop," Tyler shouted. "They hate water, but something else lives here." That was when the marsh exploded. Something massive surged upward, jaws unfolding into concentric rings of teeth. A Kelmar marsh lurker. "Oh, come on," Tyler yelled. "Is this a theme park?" The creature lunged for Kara. Dome moved faster than I thought possible. He grabbed it, squeezed. There was a crunch. The lurker went limp. Behind us, the stalkers stopped at the water's edge, clicking nervously. They did not follow. We scrambled out of the marsh, filthy, gasping, alive. Tyler collapsed against a tree, finally noticing the blood on his arm. "Huh, that's new," he said. I stared at him. We had been on Kelmar 3 for less than 3 hours, and the planet had already drawn first blood.
For exactly 6 seconds after we escaped the marsh, nobody spoke. Not because we were calm, because every species present was busy confirming that vital organs were still present, functional, and located roughly where they were supposed to be. I leaned forward with my hands on my knees, drawing in air that felt far too thick for comfort. Kara was crouched nearby, her bioluminescent patterns flashing wildly through colors I didn't even know Florians had. Doan stood like a cracked statue, water and something darker dripping from the fractures in his chest plating. And Tyler? Tyler was inspecting his arm. "Huh," he said again, turning it slightly. "Yeah, that's gonna scar." "You are bleeding," I said, because sometimes stating the obvious is the only way to stay sane. He glanced at me, then at the blood soaking through the torn fabric of his sleeve. "Oh, yeah. One of the crystal spikes clipped me, I think." Clipped. I pulled the medkit out of my pack so fast I nearly dropped it. "Sit, now!" "Yes, Mom," Tyler said, but he did sit, gracefully lowering himself onto a fallen log like his shoulder wasn't actively leaking. Kara shuffled closer, eyes fixed on the wound. "Does it hurt?" Tyler considered that. "Right now, not really." "That is deeply upsetting," I muttered, activating the medkit. I cleaned the wound, applied sealant, and wrapped it as securely as my shaking hands allowed. The gash was deep, deep enough that any normal cadet would have been unconscious or screaming. Tyler just watched, chewing on another one of his mysterious snacks. "What is that?" I finally asked. "Beef jerky." "Dried meat." I froze. "You carry meat in your pocket?" "Yeah." "From your homeworld?" "Yeah." I resumed bandaging in silence, deciding this was not the time to unpack that emotionally. Behind us, the marsh shifted. Not violently, not suddenly, slowly. A ridge of spines broke the surface of the water, each one taller than me. The water bulged, displaced by something vast and patient. "Oh no," I whispered. Tyler followed my gaze. "Oh, definitely no." Dome turned, heavy footsteps planting instinctively between the thing and Kara. The stalkers were gone, but whatever lived in that marsh was clearly not impressed by our earlier victory. "Move," I said. "Now!" We did not argue. We ran. Not sprinting, controlled movement, uphill, away from the wet ground. The marsh lurker did not fully emerge, but it followed for several long seconds, water churning violently before it finally sank back beneath the surface. Only when the ground dried beneath our feet did we stop again. This time, when we paused, exhaustion hit like a physical blow. Kara collapsed onto the ground, chest heaving. Dome leaned heavily against a tree, internal systems whirring loudly as he compensated for damage. I checked my datapad with trembling hands. Distance covered so far? 5 kilometers. In exchange, we had nearly been eaten 3 times. "This," Kara said weakly, is the worst field exercise ever created." Tyler laughed. Actually laughed. "Hey," he said, voice bright despite the blood and mud and Deathworld around us. "We're alive. That's a win." "You were stabbed," I said. "Minor detail. You fought 4 apex predators with a stick. Pretty good stick." Dome looked at him for a long moment. "Human. Yeah? Are you always like this?" More or less." That explained far too much about human history. I forced myself upright. "We cannot stay here. The drop site noise will draw attention. The marsh is worse. We need distance." "Agreed," Tyler said immediately. "We keep moving. Find high ground, natural cover, somewhere we can defend." Kara groaned. "I need 5 minutes." I hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. We sat in uneasy silence while the forest breathed around us. Distant calls echoed through the trees, predators communicating, warning, hunting. This planet was very alive, and it was very aware of us. When Kara finally stood, her glow steadier but dim, I knew we were crossing a threshold. This was no longer an exercise. This was survival. I checked our heading again. Extraction point? 75 kilometers remaining. 3 days. 1 injured human, 1 cracked Krytonian, 1 exhausted Florian, and 1 squad leader questioning every life choice he'd ever made. As we started moving again, Tyler fell into step beside me. "You okay, V?" he asked quietly. "I am recalculating all expectations," I replied. He grinned. "Good. That means you're learning." I looked ahead at the endless forest, at the shadows between the trees, at the way the planet seemed to watch us move. Learning or not, Kelmar 3 wasn't done with us yet. By the time the light began to fade, I had stopped pretending my legs were going to forgive me. Kelmar 3 did not believe in gentle transitions. Day did not end so much as it withdrew, dragging the light with it like a curtain being pulled by something large and impatient. The canopy above us thickened into shadow, and the forest took on a different character, quieter in some places, louder in others, every sound sharper, closer. Night was coming. And on a death world, night is when the rules change. "We need shelter," I said, breaking the rhythm of our march, "before dark." Tyler stopped immediately and scanned the terrain. Agreed. Ahead, massive trees loomed, ancient things with roots so thick they had twisted together into natural hollows beneath their trunks. The earth there rose slightly, giving us elevation and clear sight lines. "There," Tyler said. "That'll work." We moved quickly. Dome shifted fallen logs into place with practiced efficiency, creating a crude barrier. Kara activated the water filtration unit at a nearby stream, her movements slower but determined. I set perimeter markers, heart pounding every time something rustled beyond our sight. Tyler disappeared into the trees. "That is not ideal," I muttered. He returned minutes later with an armload of dry branches. "Firewood," he said. "Fire will also attract predators," I pointed out. "Fire will also keep some away," he countered. "Most things don't like it. Plus," he nodded toward Kara, "she needs heat." Kara's glow had dimmed, her skin losing color as the temperature dropped. "She is cold-blooded," Tyler continued. "If she gets too cold, she'll slow down, or worse." I hated that he was right. "Build it small," I said finally. "Minimal smoke." Tyler nodded and went to work. I had seen cadets struggle for minutes trying to start a fire under ideal conditions. Tyler did it like muscle memory, arranging the wood, shielding the flame, coaxing it to life until a steady, controlled burn warmed the hollow beneath the tree. As the fire grew, something in me loosened. Fire is universal. Nearly every sapient species had discovered it, feared it, respected it. Sitting around it felt normal. We ate our first real meal on Kelmar 3. Compressed rations that tasted like recycled cardboard and disappointment. Calories were calories. Tyler supplemented his with more of the dried meat, offering a piece to Kara, who politely declined after learning what it was. "So," Kara said quietly, her glow softening in the firelight. "Earlier, thank you." Tyler shrugged. "We're a team." "You fought 4 stalkers alone," Dome said. "That was either extremely brave or extremely foolish." "Little of both," Tyler admitted. "My dad used to say sometimes you fight so others can run." "Your father was a soldier?" I asked. "Military. Taught me basics, situational awareness, when to push, when to buy time." "Against Deathworld predators?" Kara asked. He smiled faintly. "Against whatever showed up." The forest answered with a distant howl. Then another. Closer. We fell silent, listening. Clicks, screeches, wing beats, things moving through the undergrowth, unseen but very real. "How are we doing on time?" Dome asked. I checked my datapad. 8 kilometers today, I said. At this pace, extraction in 9 days. We had 3. Kara stared at the fire. "So, we fail." "No," Tyler said. "We adapt." He leaned back against his pack, unfazed by the noises around us. "Tomorrow, we push harder, 30 kilometers." "That is not possible," I said. "Only if we decide it isn't." He stood, testing his injured arm with a slight wince. "I'll take first watch." "You're injured," I protested. "I'll be fine. Plus, I'm used to functioning on little sleep." That somehow did not reassure me. Despite myself, exhaustion dragged me down. I curled near the fire, listening to the sounds of Kelmar 3 hunting itself into the night. I slept. When Kara woke me from my watch, the forest was wrapped in mist. Pale shapes drifted between the trees, and something large passed nearby, its shadow stretching long across the ground before disappearing again. Morning came slowly. Tyler awoke exactly 4 hours after lying down. No alarm, no prompting. "Morning," he whispered. "See anything?" "Many things," I said. "None friendly." He grinned. "Good. Means we're doing something right." As we prepared to move again, I realized something unsettling. Somewhere between the marsh, the fire, and the night full of monsters, I trusted him. And that realization terrified me almost as much as the planet. Because if the human was right, tomorrow was going to hurt. Morning on Kelmar 3 did not feel like hope. It felt like a pause, the kind predators take before deciding whether to finish something now or save it for later. Mist clung to the forest floor as we moved out, damp and silent, every breath fogging slightly in the cooler air. The fire had been erased with care, ashes scattered, heat masked as best we could manage. Tyler insisted on it, explaining very calmly that anything smart enough to hunt in packs was smart enough to remember where food had been warmed the night before. I didn't like how often his explanations made sense. We pushed harder than the first day. Faster, fewer breaks. Tyler and Dome took point together now, strength and instinct paired in a way that somehow worked. Kara stayed in the middle, quieter than before, conserving energy. I covered the rear, watching our tracks disappear into the mess of vegetation behind us. No stalkers, no lurkers, no immediate death, which on this planet felt suspicious. We crested a small rise near midday when Tyler slowed and raised his hand again. This time, he didn't whisper. He just stopped. "What is it?" I asked. He pointed. Ahead of us, half hidden among twisted roots and mud, was a structure. Not natural. Logs stacked into rough walls, mud packed between gaps. A shelter, crude but deliberate. My chest tightened. "Another team," Kara whispered. "Yes," I said, "or what's left of one." We approached cautiously, weapons ready, such as they were. The shelter was empty, abandoned. A datapad lay cracked near the entrance. Medical supplies were torn open, bandages soaked dark. Blood. Too much blood. Kara's glow flickered violently. "Oh no." Tyler crouched,
touching the ground, then rubbing his fingers together. Still tacky. This happened recently. 6 hours, maybe less. Dome scanned the tree line. No bodies. That doesn't mean they're fine, Kara said. I swallowed hard. The reality we'd been dancing around finally stood in front of us, undeniable. Someone else had been here. Someone else had failed. Should we activate the emergency beacon? Warn command? Tell them what happened? And fail, Dome countered. The beacon is for life-threatening situations. This is life-threatening, she snapped. They looked at me, squad leader, decision-maker. I forced myself to think. They may have retreated or been extracted early, we don't know. The blood suggested otherwise, but panic wouldn't help them or us. We mark the location, log it, then we move. Tyler stood, jaw tight. Standing here doesn't save anyone. We left the shelter behind. It followed us anyway. Not physically, but in the silence that settled over the group. The jokes stopped. Even Tyler walked quieter now, his limp more noticeable, his breathing heavier. By late afternoon, Kara was struggling. Dome's cracked plating leaked lubricant steadily. Tyler's bandage was red again. And still, we pushed. When we finally stopped, the datapad read 32 kilometers covered, ahead of schedule. Behind us, proof that not everyone would make it. As night crept in again, the forest seemed closer, watching, waiting. I stared into the dark and understood something at last. Kelmar 3 wasn't testing our skills, it was asking a single question. How badly do you want to live? And tomorrow, it was going to demand an answer.
The third day began without ceremony. No dramatic sunrise, no sense of renewal. Just exhaustion. The kind that seeps into your joints and convinces you that stopping would be easier than continuing, and that stopping would be a mistake you wouldn't get to regret. We were awake before anyone called it. No watches this time, no rotation. None of us had truly slept. We'd just closed our eyes and waited for the forest to decide whether to let us see morning. It did. Barely. 43 kilometers to extraction, I announced, checking my datapad. My voice sounded wrong, thin, stretched. If we maintain yesterday's pace. We won't, Tyler said, tightening the strap on his pack. We go faster. Kara laughed weakly. You're joking. No, he said gently. I'm serious. Dome rumbled something low and resolute that translated loosely to, let's finish this. And so we moved. We didn't march anymore, we pushed. The terrain shifted as we advanced, steep ridges that forced us to climb, rocky outcroppings slick with moisture, streams that cut our route into fragments. Every detour cost energy we didn't have. Pain became background noise. Tyler limped openly now, his injured arm held close to his body. Dome's chest plating had cracked further, internal systems whining under the strain. Kara moved slower with every kilometer, her glow dim and steady, the color of stubbornness rather than fear. I stopped thinking in kilometers. I started thinking in steps. One more step, then another, then another. Around midday, the forest began to thin. The massive trees gave way to shorter growth. The canopy opened, light spilling down in harsh, unforgiving beams. The air grew hotter, drier. Grasslands, wide rolling stretches of it, dotted with rocks and low brush. Exposed. I don't like this, I said. Me neither, Tyler nodded. But it meant faster movement, and speed was the only advantage we had left. 10 kilometers, I called out as we crested a rise. Ahead of us, far in the distance, something glinted. Artificial. Lights. The extraction point, Tyler said, awe creeping into his voice. We're close. Hope is dangerous. It makes you careless. We ran, not carefully, not tactically. We ran like survival had finally given us permission. And that was when the ground exploded.
Not from below us, from everywhere. The earth ruptured as thousands of tunnels burst open, spewing a living wave of insectoid creatures into the air. Translucent wings, segmented bodies, mandibles clicking in furious unison. Swarmers, territorial, fast, aggressive. "Run!" Tyler shouted. We did. They were faster. They hit us like hail. I felt mandibles scrape my armor, clawing for purchase. Kara screamed as several latched onto her suit. Dome's massive arms swung, crushing dozens, but more replaced them instantly. Tyler reached into his pocket. Of course he did. He pulled out a small cylinder, twisted the top, and hurled it behind us. "Don't breathe this!" White smoke erupted, thick and choking. The swarmers flew into it and dropped. Their wings clogged, their coordination shattered. "What was that?" I gasped. "Improvised bug spray, fire starter fuel, sticky." "Is that allowed?" "Absolutely not." We burst into the clearing. The extraction platform loomed ahead, scanners lighting up as we stumbled onto it, collapsing in a heap of limbs, armor, and exhaustion. "Congratulations," Commander Threx's voice announced calmly. "You have completed the evaluation. Extraction in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. We lay there, staring at the sky. Alive. Barely, but alive.
For a long moment after the scanners chimed, none of us moved. We just lay there on the extraction platform, staring up at a sky that felt unreal, too blue, too calm, too innocent for a planet that had spent the last 3 days trying to erase us from existence. Kara was the first to break. She laughed. Not hysterical laughter, not relief sobs, a quiet, disbelieving sound, like her mind had finally accepted that the danger had ended, but her body hadn't caught up yet. Her bioluminescent glow pulsed wildly, colors washing over her skin in overlapping waves. We're alive," she said. "Yes," Dome rumbled from somewhere beside me. "Statistically improbable." Tyler lay flat on his back, arms spread, chest rising and falling in deep, satisfied breaths. "Told you," he said. "Almost doesn't count." "Almost," I replied, my voice hoarse, "is doing an enormous amount of work in that sentence." I pushed myself upright, joints protesting violently, and checked the time. 73 hours and 12 minutes. We had beaten the deadline by nearly a full day. The platform hummed softly beneath us as its systems ran scans. Medical drones hovered closer, lights flickering as they assessed damage. Tyler finally looked down at his arm. "Oh," he said. "Yeah, that's not great." His bandage was completely soaked through now, dark red spreading across the fabric. "You are still bleeding," I snapped. He winced as he sat up. "Yeah, adrenaline's probably wearing off." Kara crawled closer, eyes wide. "You need help." "I will accept help," Tyler said cheerfully. "I will not accept judgment." The sound of engines rolled across the clearing. The extraction shuttle descended from the sky like a promise made real, sleek, armored, impossibly comforting. Its landing struts hit the ground with a solid thud, and the ramp lowered. Medical personnel rushed out immediately. "Team 7?" one of them called. "That's us," I said, raising a hand that felt like it belonged to someone else. They scanned us quickly, efficiently. Dome's chest plating drew concerned murmurs. Kara was ushered toward a warming unit. Tyler was placed on a stretcher despite his protests. "I can walk," he insisted. "Yes," the medic replied dryly, "but we'd prefer you not bleed on the floor." As they loaded us onto the shuttle, Kara looked back at Kelmar 3, the endless grass, the distant forest, the place that had tried very hard to kill us. "I never want to come back here," she said. Tyler grinned weakly from the stretcher. "I don't know, kinda has a vibe." The shuttle lifted off, engines roaring as the planet fell away beneath us. Only then, only when Kelmar 3 shrank into a green-blue sphere, did the tension finally drain from my body. Commander Threx's voice came through the cabin speakers. "Team 7," he said, "you are one of 3 teams to reach extraction ahead of schedule." Kara exhaled sharply. "What about the others?" There was a pause. 2 teams activated emergency beacons within the first day. They were extracted safely. 1 team missed the primary deadline but reached a fallback point. Another pause. "And 1 team," he continued, "required delayed recovery." My thoughts flashed back to the abandoned shelter, the blood. "They're alive," Tyler said firmly, "right?" "Yes," Threx confirmed. "Alive, injured, but alive." Relief hit me so hard I had to sit down. The shuttle docked with the Academy ship, and for the first time since this began, the air felt safe, controlled, predictable. As we disembarked, Commander Threx and Self waited, all 7 eye stalks focused intently on us. "Team 7, you completed a Class 3 Deathworld survival evaluation in record time." His gaze moved over Dome's cracked armor, Kara's injuries, Tyler's bandaged arm. "You sustained significant damage." "With respect, Commander," I said, surprising myself with the firmness of my own voice. "We survived. I consider that acceptable." For a moment, I thought I had gone too far. Then Threx's mandibles clicked softly. "Noted," he said. "Dismissed to medical." As we were led away, Tyler leaned toward me. "See? Easy mode." I closed my eyes and laughed despite myself, because against all logic, against all statistics, we had made it. And something told me the galaxy was about to regret letting humans into the Academy. The medical bay smelled like antiseptic, ionized air, and quiet disbelief. We were arranged in a row of treatment stations like evidence from an experiment that technically should not have worked. Drones hovered. Medics moved efficiently, calling out vitals and repair estimates in clipped professional tones. Dome lay on a reinforced platform while technicians patched fractures in his chest plating. Kara sat wrapped in a thermal blanket, color slowly returning to her glow as heat and hydration did their work. I was informed, politely but firmly, that I had strained multiple muscle groups, was mildly dehydrated, and had pushed well beyond recommended cognitive endurance thresholds. Which felt unfair, considering the circumstances. Tyler needed 17 stitches. He watched the procedure with mild interest, asking questions about the thread strength and whether the scar would look cool. The medic did not answer. When we were finally cleared to leave, patched, bandaged, sore, but alive, we gathered in the common area. Other cadets filtered in from their own evaluations. Some limped, some were carried, some were very, very quiet. Everyone had a story, and everyone listened differently when we told ours. "Team 7, someone whispered as we passed. "That's the one with the human." Yes, it was. Commander Threx addressed us later that cycle. No dramatics this time, just facts. "You survived a Class 3 Deathworld," he said. "Ahead of schedule, under sustained pressure, with injuries." His eye stalks focused on me. "Cadet Veke, your leadership decisions contributed directly to your team's survival." I straightened. "Thank you, Commander." His gaze shifted to Tyler. "And you," Threx said carefully, "human cadet." Tyler smiled. "Of course he did." "You continued to demonstrate behavior that is statistically problematic." "Sir," Tyler replied cheerfully, "that's kind of our brand." There was a pause. Then Threx said something I never expected. "Dismissed, all of you." Later, much later, we sat together in the common area, nursing nutrient drinks and shared exhaustion. Kara sighed. "If there is ever another evaluation like that, I am requesting a Class 1 world with no predators and a spa." "That sounds amazing," I said. "Boring," Tyler replied immediately. I stared at him. "We nearly died." "Yeah, but we didn't." Dome made a low rumbling sound that I'd learned meant agreement, or possibly laughter. "You humans," Kara said softly, "are terrifying." Tyler grinned. "You get used to us." That was the problem. Because as I sat there, aching, exhausted, undeniably proud, I realized something uncomfortable. He was right. Despite the fear, despite the pain, despite everything that had tried to kill us, I felt alive. Humans have a term for this, I learned later. Post-traumatic growth. I called it concerning. But as I looked at my team, not cadets anymore, not really, but something forged under pressure, I understood the truth the Academy would never officially admit. Humans don't conquer the galaxy. They don't dominate it. They don't even make sense in it. They survive it. And worse, they teach everyone around them that survival is possible too. "Hey, V," said Tyler suddenly, "you know what we should do next cycle?" I already knew the answer. "No," I said immediately. "Advanced training, Class 4 world." "Absolutely not." "Educational." "No." "Character building." I sighed. "Ask me again after I sleep for 48 hours. Tyler's grin widened. "I'll take that as a maybe." "It is not a maybe. Sure sounds like one." Kara giggled. Dome rumbled again. And to my horror, I smiled. Because if we could survive Kelmar 3, the galaxy was going to have a very hard time getting rid of us. And humans were contagious.